Terrarian in the Dungeon, Chapter 64, Fan Fiction, by Azazyel. Please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel for listening and patreon.com/Azazyel to read all of his stories. Hedin didn't even give me a chance to deny him, what with him running off, so I was left with Ottar, and Hogni just went back to browsing my wares but avoided Hestia's unending questions as he was still shy. What kind of armor do you want? All my armors have magical effects to them, so knowing what you want out of them is important. I spoke. Ottar grunted before he spoke in his gravelly voice. I want armor that will protect my heart and if possible, make me faster. I frowned at his request before I shook my head. I don't make armor plates like that to just protect your heart, Ottar. For one, my armor is magically fitting so it doesn't impede your movements besides its actual weight, but for adventurers negligible. I then brought out the list of armor types I could make as of now and began to list them and their effects. This ninja armor would give me the speed I want. But this shadow and crimson armor would make me stronger and either more durable or a potent regeneration. Ottar pondered as Hogni walked over and took a copy of the list. After a moment, the dark elf spoke softly. Would the ninja armor make me less noticeable? He asked quietly. I sadly shook my head before I spoke again. In time, I could make an armor that would make you invisible, but not for a long while. At the letdown, he slumped, but I told him if he was willing to help me kill another boss, I would gift him a potion that would make him invisible for a few minutes. Okay. I will help you with the boss later on. Hogni said with some actual enthusiasm in his voice as he obviously relished the thought of his crippling social anxiety being soothed for a bit. No, seriously, his social anxiety was so great that he literally developed a skill on his fauna or on his very soul that brought a second, more valiant and bombastic personality to take over his body. I want the shadow armor set. I believe in my own strength to not need the regeneration but the speed that the shadow armor gives him. Ottar grunted at the end as he walked over to me, and I quickly took his measurements. Alright, Ottar, I will have the armor done in 3 days as I want to make this trip into the dungeon myself, I said, and Ottar surprisingly rolled his eyes. Don't rush. You are much faster than other smiths anyway. He said with a tiny bit of encouragement. I actually felt a bit of pride from his words. Then Belle walked back in, and I noticed she was pretty downcast after leading Hedin out of the tower. You guys can read the lists. Belle, I need to talk to you for a bit about our little expedition coming up. I said gently but firmly, grabbing Belle by her wrist as she listlessly wandered past me. Everyone took a look at Belle, who looked at me with a confused expression, but they either were older and more experienced, or gods who could see more than mere mortals could tell Belle was distracted and thus was in no shape for going into the dungeon. So I led Belle into one of the side rooms and I just pulled Belle into my lap as I held her against me in a tight hug. She buried her face into my shoulder, and as I held her ever so tightly I felt her already superhuman strength being used to hug me as the walls she put up in front of Freya Familia came crashing down, and so did her composure as she began crying into my shoulder. I know, Belle. I soothed her as I rocked her in my arms. We can fix Ina, don't worry. I kept soothing her, and at my words, she sniffled and leaned a bit away so she could actually look at my face rather than drowning my shoulder in her sorrows. Really? She sniffled with the word coming clogged up with her tears choking out her normally cute voice. I gently cupped Belle's face and kissed her forehead before I leaned back with a wry smile. I swear I can fix it. Will be very difficult, and we will need to be much stronger. But Belle, I said with my hands holding her face, tightening ever so slightly. We can do it. We can get new eyes for her and will make her equal to even level 5s in magical might, so this won't ever happen again. I told her, honestly, making her nod and take a deep breath. What do we need to do, Jake? She asked after she exhaled, and no longer did. She had that dour depression hanging over her. No, now she had a true drive in her heart. The very drive that would fuel her to cheat Liara's freeze to make her grow, and this desire to give her friend Ina her eyes back would make her grow even faster than her prior little crush on Ace Wallenstein, if she even had that crush anymore to begin with. We need to get to level 3 at least, and by then we should be strong enough to kill the monsters to make a powerful potion that will help regenerate her eyes, I said as I realized that to get the materials to make a restoration potion, I would need pink slime, but seeing as Pinky cannot spawn naturally, I am going to literally need to kill the queen slime, one of the hard mode bosses, to get the pink slime. I smiled as I patted Belle on her, but making her yelp and blush in my arms as I spoke more happily. Belle, Ina is going to be just damned fine, I promise. After all, it only took me like 3 weeks to get to level 2, so at most in a month, I will be level there, and we can fight the boss together so we can get Ina fixed. I finished as I dipped in and kissed her fully on the mouth for a couple of seconds before breaking off. Now come on, Belle. Let's tear up the dungeon so you can get that little bit more you need to fill out your stats and hit level 2 yourself. I said firmly, and Belle nodded with a fire in her eyes that made me pity the monsters we would face in the dungeon.